cari amici. That is Italian for hello dear friends. Welcome to my work table, welcome to my channel. It's a weekend. I'm gonna start off by saying there may be some noise in the background of my video because there is some work being done outside, but I really wanna make this video. I did my power walk this morning. I got my reward for getting out and doing my exercise. I'll put a video at the end of this video, but I am working with the Potomac Beads treasure box for the month of September, and it was called Spice Market. And I absolutely love it. What you see out here is what is left over from this bracelet design, this Spice Market design. It's a multi-coil memory wire bracelet, and there were these beautiful Athena cast curved bars in the box, and that's what I used to create sections of this Spice Market bracelet. And there was this Athena cast charm with a little branch on it and check glass, faceted rounds and cube beads. I mixed in some seed beads. It is just a beautiful box, an absolute bead perfection for late summer, early fall. These colors are just fabulous. So on this bracelet, I have gone into my stash. I had this little collection of like a button mix, check glass buttons from Potomac Beads. I don't even know when I got that. And in amongst that mix was this gold button, but I also have some check glass buttons. This one is new check glass, and this is a vintage button from my personal collection, and it says Le Chic on the back, molded in the glass, and I just love it. So I am really having a difficult time deciding which button to use for my closure, because the focal of this bracelet is going to be the red lamp work mix that was in the box. Whoops. So there was, I mean, maybe everyone's mix is going to look different. I would assume it is because lamp work beads are all handmade, but I absolutely just love this orangey red with these terracotta colors and these colors of wheat and saffron. There's like some cocoa color. It really does have this international flavor, this Spice Market flavor. So I also, as I was walking this morning, started thinking that maybe a piece of African brass in with the lamp work might look nice. So I've gone into my stash of African brass and just pulled out some things that I love, these really cool cube beads. So I have a look at this one. This is just gorgeous. I just love this. And sorry, it distracted me because I love it so much. But I just put a little selection here because when I start my pattern, you know, I'll kind of play with those and decide. They all have large enough holes for my plan, as do all of my buttons. I have taken 3 lengths of this 0.5 millimeter Brazilian waxed cord. It's made in Brazil. It is polyester, but it has a really light coating of wax on it, and it's one of my very favorite, one of my go-to bead stringing materials. And I didn't actually measure, but I think I have 3 strands at about 60 inches because I'm going to fold them in half, and this will be a 6-strand bracelet when I am done. Well, it's going to transition from a single strand into 6 strands. And so I did give myself the 60 inches, which when folded in half will be 30 inches, which seems like a lot for a 7-inch bracelet, but knotting does take up a lot. It eats up a lot of length of your cord, and I don't want to run short. And until I get going, I don't know if I'm going to be placing a knot in between every single bead or exactly what I'm going to do. So I just gave myself the option, and any extra will go back into, I keep it in here in the little hole. But you can use almost anything. Sometimes I use just polyester waxed cord from the craft store, but this is from Lima Beads, and it's the 0.5 millimeter, which I really like when I want to do so many strands. So I'm going to do most of this off camera, but I wish you guys were sitting here with me. I wish that so often because I am really struggling. I absolutely love this button as a closure, and I'm kind of looking at it like I don't know which one of these African brass pieces may or may not make its way into my bracelet, but it's a bit shinier than my brass pieces. And I'm only going to be putting in a few little red seed beads, and there'll be just splashes of red. So I'm also kind of leaning towards this one. I'm really struggling with this decision, and for this design I do want to put my button closure on first. So let's see, let me try this one, and I'm pretty sure that all 3 of my cords, yes, they go through nicely. I really love this one as well. And then whichever African brass bead I might choose, I think this one's going to be the winner, also because the color match to the lampwork beads is absolutely perfect. It's that like orangey red. So I think that's going to be the winner, although I almost hate to put those back. But check out the Potomac Beads website for check glass buttons. It's one of my resources for buttons. And before I get going on this, I'm just going to show you briefly what I have out here. Also, Potomac Beads has an amazing section of their website for seed beads of every size, every shape, from little cubes to demi-rounds to delicate to Tohos. It's a great source for seed beads, but I have a collection from years and years, and I still pick them up at the craft store. So like these are Miyuki 60 Duracoat galvanized seed beads. So that's these larger ones. And as you can see, I picked them up on clearance, and I really love buying any of my metallics in the Duracoat galvanized because they stay shiny. It doesn't, it keeps that finish on there. So what you see out here is that same seed bead in an 11-0, and these are called wheat. This is just a craft store item, and I have these copper ones that I picked up on clearance because in this bracelet I really, really loved the mix of gold, copper, and silver just all the way around this multi-coil bracelet. It just makes me so happy, and I feel like I can layer this with gold, silver, or copper, and I like all of them. And so I think I might be doing the same thing in this bracelet, is just to mix up all those metals. So the way I'm going to get started is to, as you saw, put all 3 of my cords through the shank of the button. And for those not familiar with Brazilian waxed cord, this has that light coating of wax. It's not sticky or anything, but you can just pinch and twist and make a natural needle for stringing, and that is what I do like 99.9% of the time. But you are welcome, if you want to stiffen this, you can totally put clear nail polish or super glue and just let it dry and make it harder on the end. But I never take the time to do that. You know, every time I do one of these, somebody will comment, oh, you should harden the ends, and you know, I just don't feel the need. So what I'm going to do, and I realize this is ridiculously long, is just pull my button to the middle of my cords. So let me show you this end. So it's basically at the middle, and right here is going to be the start of my bracelet. So I'm going to start right here and make an overhand knot. Just going to pull all of those cords. And I will say here, and I'm going to do this one without my knotting tweezer, you do not need a tool to do a knotted technique like this. I always use one. I find it amazingly helpful to get a fully controlled knot, especially when I'm working with 6 strands. But you can work this down with your fingers just like I'm doing. I mean, you can do knotting totally with just your fingers, okay? So that's going to be the start of my bracelet, but I will show you my knotting tweezer. Let me get it. So a knotting tweezer looks like this. Mine has been around for a while. I did find one similar on Amazon. I can link it below, but a knotting tweezer just has this really, really fine tip on the end, and I will show you how you can use it in your knotting. But to start out with, I am going to, I believe, just right behind the button, my plan is to string on maybe just 1 or 2 of these 6/0 galvanized seed beads. I'm going to see if I can fit all 6 strands, because the plan here was to have the first little section, like 1/3 of my length is what I'm thinking will be pleasing. Look at that, all 6. Wait, do I have it? Nope, I'm missing one more. Sorry, I got distracted from what I was saying. The plan is to have about 1/3 of the length of my bracelet being a single strand, like being just a row of the lampwork beads. And then I'm going to tie a knot and branch off into all the Spice Market patterns. So that's the idea. And let's see, I'm going to just bring one down and see how I feel. But I was able to get all 6 of this 0.5 waxed cord into a 6/0 seed bead. Well, at least my 6/0 seed beads. So to start off with, you are managing a very long length of cord, but believe me, when you start knotting, it gets better really fast. I might actually just do one. I just wanted to get my first beads kind of away from my button closure, so I could do 1, 2, 3. I think I'm just going to do one because I really want to feature the lampwork beads. And I'm sorry, I hear a lot of noise outside the window near my work table, so I hope it's not too distracting, but I really wanted to make this video today. So I just made that overhand loop, and I'm going to take my knotting tweezer and reach inside the loop, and wherever I place the tip of that tweezer, when I pull, that knot is going to land right where that tweezer tip is. So you'll see, this is extremely helpful when you're doing a multi-cord to maintain control and to get a nice, neat knot. So I'm just pulling it right down to the tip and then remove the tweezer. And then you can even use the tweezer to put your knot in place, your tweezer or your finger. I always say when you're doing this, you'll get a rhythm. And then in this method, my waxed cord is acting as another element, another color, a spacer in between. And I just love that look. And I will show you as I get going. The other thing I love about this type of stringing material is, you know, it is so fluid, like your bracelets just flow, necklaces too, they just flow beautifully around the body. So my little bracelet is started, and now I just have to decide on my lampwork beads. And again, this is wonderful because they have really large holes, so I shouldn't have any problem getting 6 strands through, and I do not. Look at that. Beautiful. And I'm going to continue like that, just kind of creating a pattern. I'm going to do knots in between. I believe on this one I'm going to do knots in between every bead. And so I'm going to continue like that, just creating my pattern here. And I'll do most of this off camera. I find this delightful and relaxing and just amazing. Especially for a weekend project. It's a Sunday afternoon, but it's very repetitive. So like for me, I'll put a movie on. Oftentimes I'm in the creative zone, so I'm sitting here looking at my things and still designing. But so my first little bead is on, and I'm gonna just continue in this way, and I'll be back and show you my progress. So I wanted to show you a little trick. This is a hollow bead, which, you know, these African brass beads generally are, but this can be true for anything. So if you could see, I was able to get 4 strands through pretty easily. 2 of them are giving me a little bit of trouble. So a little trick for that, even your tip of your knotting tweezer can help to like reach inside, but it's tricky to get almost any stringing material through a hollow bead, especially if it's larger. So if you guys are not familiar with these big eye needles, let me put this down and show you what it looks like. I know it's really small, but it is super tiny, more tiny than you can even imagine. But the middle of this needle opens up, and you can, I don't want to lose my pieces that I already have through, but you can put your stringing material through this needle and just pull it down to where the needle bends. Let me pull, I already did get a gold bead on here, and let me show you, and then just pull it down like that, and then you can run your needle right through the hollow bead without struggling and pull that stringing material through. So if you're going to do any amount of this type of a thing, this is a really great technique so that you don't struggle getting your material through a hollow bead. And then I did decide to go ahead and put one of these 6/0 galvanized spacer seed beads, just because the holes on this are still so large and my knot would go right inside this hollow bead. And I actually sort of like just the different golds, because as I said, I'm going to be mixing up the metals in this with copper, and I like all the different looks. I actually like it together with that little pop of gold. So I did not try all 6 through this big eye needle, but why not? Let's try it and see. Although I'm not having any trouble getting it through these 6/0 seed beads, but let's give it a go, because it's a great little trick for you know, getting things through. Now the only thing is, if the bead hole, this, I don't know that this will work on a 6/0 seed bead, we'll see, but you're not just pulling 6 strands through it when you do, you're pulling 12 because you're folding it in half, right? So sometimes that's a little tricky. Yeah, on this 6/0, it's not wanting to go through. I wasn't having any trouble getting those through the 6/0 beads, but just wanted to share that. I keep a big eye needle just on my little work cart behind me, because it really does come in handy. So I'm going to continue stringing and knotting. I did not have any trouble getting all 6 strands through this, so I'm not going to, you know, worry about a needle. But if you are having trouble, you could always do as you saw me do on this one and separate the strands. You know, put a few at a time on that big eye needle, string it through, and then get the rest of your, you know, do it a little bit at a time instead of the whole chunk at once. Okay, I'm going to check in with you guys and kind of show you where I'm at, because the equipment has been turned off on the outside of my window, so it's quiet for a few minutes. So I chose 3 of the lampwork beads from my mix and this one African brass bead, and I did go into my stash and pull in these little copper spacers. I just had a little bag of them, and I think I got these from Amazon. If I can find them in a past order, I'll link them for you. But they have a really nice large hole, so it was really easy to string all 6 of my cords through that spacer bead, that copper disc. And so when I was happy with this, I tied all 6 of those strands into one knot at the end here, and then I separated all 6 of them, and I am working on 6 different patterns, and that is what you see in my hand. So this is where I'm at on this one, and I just created this one. I haven't done yet, but I already know what I'm doing there, and I've just created 6 different patterns with the Spice Market beads that are here, and just mixed up these beautiful yellows and coppers and golds and reds and these kind of what is this, kind of a sagey green or a taupey color, but you know, all those oranges and the Spice Market color. And this one was pretty perfect for my bracelet length, so I was kind of using that one as a length guide for all of the others. And so I have, you know, one more to do. I just wanted to check in and just kind of show you what I'm doing. So on this one, this little pattern was my very favorite check glass bead in this month's box because of this terracotta color. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I have these check glass faceted rounds in so many colors, but this terracotta color is new to my stash, and I'm going to try to use all of them in my bracelet. So that's what I'm doing. That's that pattern, and just an overhand knot, just like before. Reach inside and grab at the thread right at the top of the bead and pull, and then just tighten my knot down to the bead. And that's what I have. And so it is looking great. It's going to be, this is what I was telling you about waxed Brazilian cord. It is so fluid. I have all of these beads on here, and it's not stiff. It's just like, almost like a piece of clothing. It's just wonderful. It's absolutely one of my favorite stringing materials. So then I was going to show you one other thing, because I was just trying it to see if it would help any of you. This I've got a little bit of a tangle here. Okay, so this big eye needle that I showed you that can be used to get through hollow beads. I decided to see if it would be useful in stringing, and so I did a little bit of this pattern with this big eye needle, and for some of you, you may find this easier. To be honest, I've done everything else the way that I always do, with just putting, just pinching and twisting the end of the waxed cord and just stringing it on and doing my knots. But I just wanted to show you, for some of you who might say, oh my goodness, that's much too tedious, that my 11/0 seed beads and these smooth check rounds do go through, the big eye needle does go through them, and the cord folded over does go through. So if some of you are interested in this project, but you've always been put off because of, the stringing maybe feeling too tedious for you, you might be able to do this more happily with one of these big eye needles. And then what I did is I just left the needle on and went through my loop just like normal, and then just grabbed my knotting tweezer and placed my knot. So I just decided to try this one strand that way to see if, I could tell you if it works or not, so maybe you'll benefit from my experimentation. But I am going to keep going. I have to finish my length, do one more bead pattern, create one more, and that's this is so wonderfully busy. But I did try to keep like a couple of my patterns more simple, and then some of them are a bit busier. And then when I get them all done, I'm going to bundle them together and do another knot on this end. And then I have to choose a seed bead and kind of creatively figure out what to do with all the excess strands. And of course, I want to add in some kind of a little dangle or charm. So I'll see what's left. I'm thinking to maybe do that. I did one of these on my first Spice Market bracelet, and so I'm thinking maybe to do that one there. It was a little bit too big for my pattern here. And when I was searching for the copper disc spacers, I also found this little copper charm, so that might make its way. I like to have, I really make my jewelry with my heart. So when this is all done, I'll look at it and decide what charms, if any. Sometimes I just think it's enough just as it is. So I am going to get right back at it and finish my patterns here, and I will meet you back. My stringing is all done, and what I'm doing is kind of doing some haphazard braiding or tangling, if you will. I just want to intermingle these strands before I tie a knot, and so I was just playing with it to see how I like the way everything is landing. And the other thing that I was doing on this end, I was experimenting to see if I could get 3 of these cords through the 11/0 seed beads, or the 8/0 seed beads, I'm sorry, and it doesn't work. So when I make my loop for my button closure, I'm going to have to be, a little bit creative, since I have 6 strands that now need to go back down into 1. But I'm pretty happy with this little tangled situation here, and so I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing is, just couple beads on the floor, but that's okay, I'll get them in a minute. I'm just going to do the same thing that I've been doing, just an overhand knot. I'm gonna, since I was experimenting with my seed beads, I don't want to lose them off the end. So just an overhand knot. I'm going to reach in the loop with my knotting tweezer and get a hold of this bundle that I've created here. This is where, take your time, and I'll even sometimes just pull down, and before I've like really committed to tightening it, just have a look at everything, because it's much easier to back it out. You can even like take this opportunity if you see a thread that's not lining up, like a little soldier like it should. But I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to pull my knotting tweezer away, and I'm just going to individually, since there are 6 of them, I'm going to individually pull each one just to make sure that I don't have anything. I'm looking right here. I'm trying to find these 2. just to give them a pull. Okay, I have my little seed bead bundle. Look at this, you guys. I just love it. Now, I think that it's a good idea to use some knotting glue just because of everything I'm holding together here. So I'm going to take my GS Hypo Cement, and I'm going to put just a little tiny bit of glue on that knot. So I am committing to this knot. Just use the precision tip, and you don't really even have to squeeze this glue. It starts coming out, starts flowing when you take the little pin out. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue, and you do need to get the pin back in this right away because, as you can see, the glue keeps flowing if you don't. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is find where I was experimenting with my two cords. So this is going to be, just give me a second, you guys, to untangle my little self here. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so what I was experimenting with is this is going to be my loop that goes around my button. So I've already strung a few seed beads in a little pattern, just continuing with my pattern play on this piece. And so now I just need to string enough seed beads on so that I can make a loop and have it fit over this button, and that's going to be the closure for my bracelet. So you could even wait to put glue in the knot. I did a little bit now, and when I tie my next knot around this one, I will probably put even a little bit more glue. It's maybe overkill, but that's what I'm going to do. And then I had too much, I really did cut too much. So there's like a whole nother bracelet here. So if you're doing this, you know, my measurement, I think it was around 60 inches. You don't need that much, but I never know how much knotting I'm going to do. So I'd prefer to have another bracelet already cut and ready to go, or some earrings, than to run short. So what I'm going to do is continue stringing. I was doing three of these 11/0 copper, and then I'm sorry, I keep saying 11/0. These are 8/0s. So I'm going to do 3 of these 8/0 copper, and then a gold, and then 3 copper, until I have a loop size that will comfortably go over that check glass button. I looked at my red seed beads. I thought about the red seed beads, but because my button is red, I decided against that. Oh, that is really good. Really, really good. I also had pulled out another one of the lampwork beads, and I thought about ending my design with another lampwork, but I think if I did that, I was going to end up making this too long. So the other thing in this loop, if you push your seed beads really tight up to each other, you have a really rigid loop. So I just want to make sure that there's space for them to make that curve, and they're not super tight against each other. And what I'm going to do is, I'm sorry that I have this mess still here on my mat. Let me clear a little space. So what I'm going to do is little creative knotting here. And when I do these, I really just continue to knot until I have the thickness that I like, and until everything is sitting the way that I like. And so I think on this loop, I'm going to do an overhand knot with all the 4 cords and pull that down. And of course the second one, because it's not a knot without the second one. And since I'm doing creative knotting before I commit by tightening it, I'll just check and see if everything is, you know, sitting the way I like it. That looks really pretty. And the reason that I did this off to the side like that is because I am going to string some beads on some of my strands and trim away some of my strands. And so I have to just decide, I kind of wanted it so that it would be coming out from underneath my little button. So, you know, kind of like that. So that's going to be the little charm section, and I'll decide, I kind of like odd numbers, so I may do 3, I may do 5, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to get serious now and like really lock this into place and put some glue. It's always a good idea to put a little beader's glue in the knot before you trim away anything. And I'm going to pull that really tight. And so it's really pretty. I mean, it just looks really pretty. I like the way the loop looks. I like the way the knot looks. And so let me just loop it. And then I can decide what I want to do here. Okay, decision made. What I'm going to do is put some glue on my knot, and then I'm going to actually use all 6 strands. This little bundle here of 4 is going to be just fringiness. Is that a word? And these 2, I'm going to do some little bead patterns on them, and you know, and make like little beaded tassels. But let's get this knot secure. Just gonna let that dry for a minute, and while it's drying, I'm going to create some fringe. I want this to be really short and really fringy, so I'm going to come, let's see, come right about here. The nice thing about this, see you guys, I have like a whole nother bracelet here, but it won't go to waste. I love stringing with this material. So the nice thing about doing this, what I started to say, is that if, you know, once you've glued your knot, if you're creating fringiness or tassels or something and you don't care for it, you can always come in and just trim it away and just, you know, have a finished end. So if I'm thinking of something like this, I usually like to go ahead and give it a try before I cut away. So I'm just going to use my knotting tweezer and separate all these little fibers. And I may even, probably am going to want this shorter, but can't put it back, so I left myself a little bit of length, but I'm just going to kind of make it fringy. Okay, that is so cute. I'm just going to let my glue set up a little bit, and then I will decide, you know, if I want to shorten them. I may or may not, we'll see. And then I obviously don't need all this length here. This can also go into my little bracelet pile or earrings. Knotted Brazilian waxed cord earrings make the prettiest dangles from your ears. Okay, and then I'm just going to choose a few beads from my, you know, from my collection here. Maybe these. Okay, this is so cute, you guys. I just love it. It's so pretty. And so I think that now I will add a little charm. This is absolutely a stunning, gorgeous bracelet. I could add this right here with a jump ring just to go over that knot, and I'm going to use one of my own handmade jump rings. These are using 20 gauge craft wire that has an anti-tarnish coating. And I don't need one that big though. Let me see. I make all different sizes and I just keep them in this little jar. And let's see if I have one that's oh, that's perfect. Just going to feed that into that little charm. And then what I like to do when I am adding charms to my bracelets, let me open this a bit, is put it around the entire circumference of my bracelet, and that way my charm just moves freely no matter which direction I put my bracelet on, instead of like choosing to put it inside a loop. Just want to make sure it's closed really well. And I even like to work hard in my jump rings a little bit. So that has a sweet little copper charm on it. And this bracelet is done. I absolutely am thrilled with the way that it turned out. I think it is the cutest thing. It looks very end of summer, you know, early fall. The Spice Market theme is just absolutely wonderful. And no matter which way this turns on my arm, it's just got some delightful, pretty little, let me trim that a little bit, the little fringiness here. Sometimes I'll wear a piece for a little bit and then go back and make adjustments, but look how gorgeous this is. I can even stack it with my other Spice Market bracelet that I made with this box. So if you did not see my first project, I will link that below. And also, if you're interested in subscribing to the monthly Potomac Beads treasure box, it is a wonderful monthly subscription. And Potomac Beads has another subscription box called the Kit Edition for those of you that like to have all of the supplies and something that's already worked out and you just want to do the handiwork. That is another subscription box that they offer, and I'll put links in the description box of this video to those things. But don't forget, you can use my link. It does help out my channel. And don't forget, even if you're not into another subscription box, that this website has the most beautiful glass pearls, Potomac pearls. They have the Athena cast line, which is what these silver bars are, and this beautiful charm. And the Athena cast has all the finishes: gold, silver, copper, antique, bronze. There are so many choices. They have a whole section for seed beads, a whole section for clasps. They have all kinds of shapes and sizes of check glass buttons and check glass beads and stringing material. It just goes on and on. So use my link and go shopping on the Potomac Beads website, whether or not you're interested in the box. It's, you know, just a great resource not to be overlooked. So I thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the end. I had a little adventure this morning. I'll put that at the end. And I hope you're all safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends. I already saw a bunny and a turtle because we had a really heavy rain last night. So I'm still looking for the little alligator that lives here. Lived in my house for 19 years. I still haven't seen him.